At magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Ito na naman tayo sa Sports on Air Weekly at marami tayong mga panauhin ngayon na very distinguished sports personalities. At ako po si Ernest Hernandez ang magiging host and moderator for this day. And to introduce our distinguished guest, ipapasa ko na po yung mikropono kay Sir Ed Andaya ng People's Journal. Sir Ed.
Okay, thank you, Ernest. And again, good morning episode of our Sports on Air Weekly. So, this morning, motorsports and boxing ang pag-uusapan natin. So, for the first part, let's talk about motorsports. And of course, kasama natin ang ating female champion sa motorsports. And next week, she will be seeing action in the World Championship in Singapore, si Miss Bianca Bustamante. And later on, sa second part of our program, ang dalawang nating boxing champions, si Dave Apolinario na kamakailan lang ay naging champion sa IBO Boxing Championship at ang isang makakasama din niya si Mike Plania naman na nakatakdang lumaban sa another boxing championship sa Los Angeles next month. So before we start asking our questions, maybe we can request si Bianca to say a few words. Bianca, welcome to Sports on Air, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here, Paul. It's an honor to be here, and of course, thank to you guys for this amazing show. And I'd love to share with you guys my stories.
Thank you, Bianca. So, Ernest, I ask the first question na kay Bianca. I'm sure madaming nag-aabang sa darating na competition ni Bianca next month sa Singapore. Bianca being the first Filipina racer na magko-compete dito sa W Series no na magre-resume na sa Singapore. Can you share to us your experience in this opportunity to represent the country, and how big is it na magko-compete ka next month sa Singapore na sabi nga natin very close to home, no? So do you expect na mas marami pang Filipino motorsports fans ang makakapanood sa iyo ngayon? We know you are competing in Europe most of the time now. Dito sa Singapore, unfortunately, wala pa tayo dito sa Philippines, but since Singapore ang next competition mo next month, can you tell us more about this coming event?
Oh, well, it's a huge honor to be in the W Series itself, being the first ever Filipino to reach this pinnacle in motorsport. It really is a great pride of mine, and I carry it with so much joy. And of course, to be closer to home this time around, I've spent half the year or half the season racing in America and Europe, but this time we're gonna be going home to home soil. And we're going to be back in Southeast Asia and racing in Singapore. So Singapore Grand Prix, everyone knows Singapore is a very technical track. It's very hot, humid. So for sure, weather is going to be one of the toughest challenges, driving in such difficult weather conditions, so hot, and street circuit. I mean, it's definitely going to be a journey for me. It's going to be one of the toughest journeys, I would say. Especially there's a lot of pressure that I put on myself being home, that I want to perform really well in front of the crowd or in front of all the Filipino people. And I do hope that there will be a crowd. I know that I'll have a few friends of mine and family that will be flying to Singapore to watch me race live. So that's going to be an amazing, heartwarming film.
Bianca, for the benefit of our viewers who have not been following most of the motorsports competitions in Europe, can you tell us how you started racing and who introduced you to the sport and who gave you the first break in this motorsports competition?
I've been I started driving at the age of 3. So that was the first time I ever drove a go-kart, and I started competing professionally at the age of 6, and that just really where the passion led on. I was very competitive. I was beating all the boys. I was always the only female, and I felt so accepted in a sport where it's very male dominated. It was something that I knew that I could excel at, surprisingly. And to be honest, that's what really pushed me forward. That's what skyrocketed my whole career. The fact that I was able to equal, or not even just equal, but surpass men in their own sport. So that itself is a great pride that I take. And I guess the driving and the feeling of going fast was always something that I've been deeply obsessed with and just in love with. The adrenaline rush when you're competing, when you're driving fast, is just unparalleled.
Bianca, I know you're aware that this year and the previous year, we have a lot of Filipina champions in sports. Of course, we all know that Aidelin Diaz won the first Olympic gold medal in weightlifting, and then we have the Philippine women's football team now qualifying to the World Cup, and also we have Yuka Sasso, and only recently we have Juna Chuki from the karate. So what does it mean to you that you will be getting the chance to represent the country with all this news about Filipina athletes on the rise?
I mean, it's great. Like, to see women dominate is definitely a thing that I'm going all out for, and seeing fellow Filipinas really dominating in the sports that they're trying to pursue is amazing. Like whenever I saw Heidelin win the gold, I was just like, the heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I was crying. I was so proud. Like, we've never won a gold in like ever, and then there she is. And I very much look up to them, fellow athletes, and we both want to pursue the same path, which may be a different sport, but it's path towards to winning and to getting a gold, and that is for sure my path. I mean, my goal for the rest of my career. I wanna cement Philippines in the whole of Philippines, of the whole of like racing champions. I want to cement that, and if I were to win W Series, a world championship, that would be a dream. No Filipino has ever done that before. So to be the first one is definitely the goal for me.
Sir Ed, you're on mute.
Okay, Bianca, one more question from me before I pass the floor to my fellow panelists. In this coming competition in Singapore, can you tell us about the preparations you're making? Have you adjusted to the many restrictions brought about by the pandemic, and how's your training as a whole?
Yeah, so I've really adjusted. Like, I got back here last week, and it was very hot when I got back here. So that's definitely very good, because I know that Singapore is going to be another hot race for me. And yeah, I've been training a lot, working out a lot, almost every day. I definitely don't let my fitness go down, even when I am on break, because this for us is our mid-season break. So it's just not much racing for 2 months for me. But we do plan to do some testings in Sepang next month, just so that I could get more track time, more experience, and that would eventually push my performance forward. And yeah, just lots of training, and of course still spending time with family, and yeah, just having a reset and refresh right now, to be honest. Being back home after such a long while of racing all over the world, it's great to be back.
Okay, thank you for the answers, Bianca. Maybe my fellow sports writers here will ask you the questions now. Gab?
Hi, Bianca.
Okay, good morning.
Bianca, anyway, I'll be the one who's gonna ask the next questions now. But Bianca, I just wanna because I know some fellow racers. A good friend of mine, Enzo Pastor, he passed away, but yeah, he is one of the best racers in the country. there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes of a racer, and not people see it. Okay, so it's not just the body that it's not just the car that needs to be well conditioned, but also the body of racer. They people think that you're a racer, you just sit inside a car and just drive it. It's not like that. So can you run us through your physical preparation leading to your races?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the misconceptions that most people think about when it comes to racing. Like they think it's as easy as just driving a car, like how you commute, like how you drive a normal daily car from there to there. But actually, it's the complete opposite. It's one of the hardest sport in my opinion that there is. Purely because it's so technical, it's so physical. Like people don't really understand how much G-force that we have to withstand while we're turning, are accelerating while we're braking, the car pushes forwards and goes back and then it lifts up and down. And that's just the weight transfer of the car. And the car is very heavy. So imagine a 5'4" girl driving like half a ton car. It's massive. It's very heavy. And we're not just driving 80 kilometers per hour. We're driving, the max that I drive is about 270, 260, and doing that and while having a cornering speed of around 180 or 160, it's a lot to take in. And of course, the more fit you are, the more you can push the car into its limits, and the more you can go in faster and stuff. So yeah, so for me, fitness has always been a key bit that I've needed to work on my whole life. Purely because I've always been racing against men, and genetically they are more stronger, they have more muscles naturally, and for me, I really had to work very, very hard just so I could I could even equal them, and I've always worked the hardest just so I could win, and that includes my training preparation, my mental. Like for working out, for example, I started working out at the age of 6. I was working out in the gym, lifting weights, and doing cardios and this and that. And as I got older, I realized how important it was in my career. Like it was like so vital that I was fit enough and strong enough, and that I was able to drive the car. And now that I've reached the professional level of sort, I started working on my mental aspect as well. And like racing is such a mental game that people don't realize it.
Yes, and not just yourself, but it takes a huge team. I mean, it's a team success. You may get all the glory, but you are actually in a team. So give us for those who are just maybe new to this, or just listening to us who are casuals. Can you run us through the team effort that takes just one rider and a car to just compete in these types of events?
Yeah, actually, like when you watch like races, it always seems like it's the driver that's solely responsible for winning, but it's actually not. If you watch Formula One or W Series, in my case, there's hundreds of mechanics, crews that's involved in that process of winning. It takes a village to build a champion, and it really does. Like for me, I have my own coach that works personally with me, my own driver coach, and I have a coach that works with a team that also caters and helping me grow. And aside from that, I have my race engineer that's involved with the engineering of the car. He's involved in taking adjustments, doing the setups, changing anything that would suit my driving style better and that would, eventually make me perform better. And he's in charge with all the mechanical side. And then aside from that, I have a crew chief that's involved with all the mechanical side of the car, like changing this, adjusting the wing or adjusting the aerodynamics or anything, and of course I have my own mechanics. I would say about 5 to 4 mechanics that do the actual handwork of adjusting the car. And that's just the hierarchy of like the whole crew that really runs the car. It's a lot of people working together, and it's a lot of brains all combined. like whenever we do our debrief after I drive, I would always have my race engineer, my crew chief, and my coach with me there, just like all brainstorming on how to figure out how to go faster. You know, they're looking at the mechanical side of the equation, and they're looking at the driving side, and then they also have the weather, the track condition, and there's just a lot of variables that people don't really realize. And I would love to go in much more detail about this, but I think it would take up most of our time if I do.
But anyway, Bianca, this is so fascinating that there are a lot of female drivers out there that are coming out racing with men as well. But I want to know on your perspective when you were just starting and you're about to choose that this is the sport for you. What was the initial reaction from your relatives, from your family? What was their reaction, and can you share to us?
They weren't. My parents, of course, they've been very supportive. You know, my dad was the reason I got into motorsport. But you know, aside from them, of course, my relatives, they never really supported, you know, my career, purely because we're a middle class family, and you know, everyone knows that racing is generally reserved for people with money, just because of how expensive the sport is. So they would always tell me now, huwag ka na kumarera, sayang ang pera ni dyan, or hindi ka maging successful, pangmayang yan. And I would get so many doubts and so many like comments from them. They would tell me that mag-aral ka na lang, maghanap ka na lang ng trabaho, you know, wag kang masyadong mataas mangarap. That's something they would always tell me. Stop dreaming too high. But obviously I didn't follow what they said. I followed my dreams.
The Filipino tradition of magdoktor ka na lang.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so with that, at a very young age, I just want to know what age did you get into racing, and who were your initial heroes in the sport?
So I've been driving go-karts ever since at the age of 3, and I've been professionally competing at the age of 5 to 6. And I really, really looked up to Niki Lauda a lot. You know, I've been at the Fosse my whole life, I would say. You know, I've been following Ferrari, and of course, my racing heroes are Niki Lauda, Michael Schumacher, and now Charles Leclerc that I follow along F1. And you know, I actually got into Ferrari because of Niki Lauda. You know, I first saw him, and then instantly I was like, I want to be him. You know, he's my hero. He was the complete package of a driver. He wasn't just, you know, a racer. He was a champion. And I guess that separates very, very differently, you know, from being just a driver to being a world champion, and so being a really well-defined, you know, racing driver. Because he had everything. He had every aspect. He had every attributes that you need to be a winner. He was smart. He persevered. He was disciplined, and that is something that I always aspired to be.
Okay, so anyway, for us who can't drive these types of vehicles, can you run us through how powerful these beasts are? I mean, I can only imagine. I mean, me running at 120 in the highway is sometimes scary already, but you know, but these are very well-oiled machines that give us that experience that not many people see, not many people feel when driving these mechanical beasts.
It's overwhelming. Honestly, that's the first thing that came into my mind. It's very overwhelming. You know, it's fast. It's because like the thing is with a car, it's very slim. It's a single seater, so it's just you inside a car. You know, it's very long, it's very wide, and then you go in there and it's a cockpit and it's just you. And I can even quote one racing driver that he said that it actually feels like a coffin. Like that's what it is. It's like sliding into your deathbed just because of you know how it actually is. You know, it's very fast. It's very narrow, and there's not it's open wheel. You know, there's no protection, like absolutely no protection. It's complete danger, to be honest, when you get into that car. And And lately it has been getting a lot safer due to the regulations that FIA has implemented. But way back then, it was very dangerous. It's a lot of racing drivers that has lost their lives because of crashing. And racing is a very much of a contact sport. I would say, it's really rubbing elbows with your competitors. There's, you make your passes, and sometimes they're not as successful, and that could lead into a lot of crashing. And crashing means, unfortunately, getting injured. So yeah, unfortunately, that thought never left my head. That there's a possibility that I could injure myself.
And we are trying to get back with her. We are trying to get. Yeah, we'll just wait for Bianca to come back. Si Ivan kasi pumasok eh.
Oo. Wala eh. Okay, Bianca is coming
sorry
back.
about that. Yeah,
It's okay,
so sorry
it's okay,
about
Bianca.
that.
Okay, you were saying
Yeah,
you were in the middle of your story and you were in the momentum. So yeah.
I really was. Yeah. Okay, so where was I? Oh, okay. So I was saying that racing, it's a very much of a contact sport, and I really do believe it takes two to tango. So you really have to be aware of how you drive. Like whenever I drive, I would always think that I'm not just putting my life in danger, but I'm also putting other people's life in danger. And to be honest, it's a mentality that I would want other people to think as well when they're driving on the streets or when they're driving, just to go to home or to go to work. That it's a very dangerous driving, and yeah, driving the car, it's amazing. On the flip side, it's amazing. It's powerful. It's fast, and the car is very planted because of the aerodynamics on the car. So you can really push it. But yeah, it's overwhelming.
Okay, another question from me is that most race car drivers are advocating safe driving. There are a lot of rage drivers out there, and sometimes it's scary that sometimes rage can get over you while you're driving, just between traffic. And how important is this that racers are advocating not go for speed, just go for safe driving?
I have always been a safe driver my whole life, I would say, because I always thought to myself, if I wanted to go fast, if I wanted to go drive and just go crazy, why do it in the street where you can eventually endanger lives of many people? I could never go and drive and think of that in my head, knowing that, I could potentially hurt someone. So I would always just do it on the track. It's a safe place, safe environment where I can, really push myself and not just show off. And yeah, and one of the funny things is that I don't even have a driver's license, so I can't drive on the streets yet.
Okay, last question before I move on to the next report. Have you driven Formula One in the street?
Sorry?
Have you driven a Formula One in a normal street? I mean,
No. I'm not allowed to drive on the street yet, so I've never driven on the streets because I don't have a
it's just crazy to think if you could do it, or I'm sure a lot of drivers would think, hey, what would it look like if I could drive a Formula in EDSA or whatever. so anyway, moving on to the next report, I will pass on the mic to Gab Ferreras of Sports Core PH. Gab, you're next.
Pero bago yan, may we ask for a minute of silence for our colleague Lydia Malu Aquino Manuel na namatay recently, and of course si Lydia De Vega Mercado na pumanaw kagabi, isa sa mga Queen. So we ask everyone for a minute of silence and a prayer. Let's pray. Eternal rest upon you, on Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. Amen. All right, amen. Okay, Bianca, good morning.
Good morning po.
This is actually our third time that we speak to you. I remember the first two times that you interviewed me was before or during the World Series. I think in Arizona, one of the first events there. Bianca, how things going on your end? We all know that you are preparing for the Singapore Grand Prix, and before that, you have spending your time back home in the country for a not so long vacation, and of course, some commitments and interviews there.
Yes po. It's been fun being back home and meeting all the media and everything. You know, it's amazing that you guys actually support. You know, like I've always wanted to put racing in the mainstream. Like I know that it's not as widely talked about as much as basketball or boxing. So to have a different sport like racing, you know, being hyped up and being talked about is amazing.
As we understand, you have a great run in the W Series, especially in the US and European countries. How do you grade your performance there in those events that you have participated in?
Yeah, so like this year for me has been such of a learning year. Like it's my first year in Formula Car coming from karting. So all of those races, I was just trying to improve as much as I can, drive as best as I can, and it really has been a tough year. You know, tough learning year. I had to learn everything from scratch, and but regardless of that, I put in a few good performances, especially in Miami, where I scored points and I was P9, and you know, first ever Filipina to ever score points, so that's amazing for me. And yeah, now we're just focusing forward, which is going to be in Singapore Grand Prix. I do hope it is going to be a lot of Filipinos out there.
And there was one point that you met your idol, Louis Hamilton, in a chance encounter. Could you tell us more about this, and could you describe how you're feeling in meeting Louis Hamilton?
It was amazing. Like we weren't informed that he was actually gonna come. Like they just told us, oh, Lewis Hamilton is gonna come here. So, you know, act chill, you know. And I was like, act chill how? That's insane. You know, you go from watching your idols to actually meeting them in person. That's just phenomenal for me. I was so shocked and I didn't know how to act or what to say, but he was very welcoming. He was very supportive in what we do. Like he's really been supporting W Series from the get go, and for him to come all the way to our pits and just to meet us, meet the team, see our cars, and really just be a part of the whole series is amazing. And a 7-time world champion like him acknowledges what we do as a racing driver, and he gives us recognition for it, and that's just amazing. And I got to speak with him. He gave me a few good tips, and like coming from where he came from, I could really relate. He really came from nowhere. No one accepted him just because of his nationality, his race, and this and that, and so many other factors. And that's just something you really look up to. And me, I Philippines. We didn't have the money, and we're here now regardless of that. So yeah, he's definitely been one of my idols growing up.
There might be shortcomings and difficulties in the races that you join in. Are you keeping up with your improvements in performing at a faster pace and to be on par with the other competitors?
Yeah, we're trying to learn as much as we can. We were doing as much testing as possible and as much testing as our budget could allow. But unfortunately, that's just a thing that still slows down my progress, is that I don't get to test as much as the other drivers because of funding. It's very expensive to get funding for racing, and we really need the support financially to be able to grow.
What are your learning experience of competing in the WCs thus far, and what was your impression that because of you gain more followers, more friendships, and travel to different destinations across the world?
Yeah, it's a new experience for me. I came from absolutely nowhere, to be honest. Like 2 years, like a few months ago, I was supposed to retire and quit racing because of, funding, and because the pandemic happened. It kind of halted my whole career, like it put my career to a stop. I wasn't able to race for 2 years, and that's, penultimately ended my karting career, and not thinking that I would eventually be where I am now. 6 months back, I was selected for the W Series shootout. I didn't really think that I would get in, but I worked very, very hard. I put in as much effort as I can, and I really drove my heart off. And W Series saw that, and I was one of the fastest drivers from the shootout, and that's the reason why they gave me a 2-year deal. And I got to experience all these amazing things, drive in all these amazing tracks, and just meet all these people, and just grow into the sport in a professional level.
As we all know, Bianca Bustamante's first sport before Formula Cars is karting. And since then, you have been witnessed the growth of karting in the country, and you visited a couple of times in some local competitions. How do you give those who are following your footsteps in karting to further boost their morals and giving the championships that they deserve?
Sorry, can you repeat
that? How about yung sa karting? How do you give back to those who are following your footsteps in karting to further boost the morals?
Yeah, there's, like, I'm really thankful now that the racing scene is starting to grow more here in the Philippines, and to see all those young kids again karting in way back. Karting now in the cadets or in the minis, and thinking to myself that was me 10 years ago. It's just so funny. And I try to give back. I try to give back as much as I can. Last time I was home here, I was at a kart race, and I supported, and I showed moral support to all the drivers, and just I really want to see the next, I want to inspire the next generation, and I want to pave the way in women motorsport and in Filipino motorsport, so to see people follow my footsteps would be amazing, and to see someone really be successful in this sport would be a dream.
Siguro, could you give credit muna to your team dahil kung hindi imposible yung mga ginagawa mo sa W Series, malalampasan mo ang mga pagsubok ito. Could you give credit to our team na nasa likod mo?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to thank my parents. They've been very supportive, and my team, Formula E, my team here in the Philippines, they've been my karting team since the very beginning, Formula E, and I want to thank my management team, CBR Media, Daryl, Sonia, Naman, Adrian, all of those guys that are behind the computer working and doing all this press release, drafting all those things. And they really do open lots of doors for me. It's surprising how much media can impact one's career. And of course, I'd like to thank my W Series crew, my coach, Richard Lyons, my engineer, Sam Owen, my crew chief, Jay Blower, and my mechanics, Danny, Cameron, and everyone. And of course, the W Series team itself, Catherine Bonnier and Sean and Matt and Dave Ryan, and just everyone, the whole W Series, for taking their shots on me and for giving me what I have now and this opportunity to show my potential. And yeah, my friends and family that's been very supportive from the get-go. And yeah, and of course, I want to thank you guys, the media and the people that, continuously share my stories and support it, and that believes in me. Yeah, thank you guys.
So last question before you do the closing remarks. At meron pa tayong photo op mamaya because you have a limited time for us to join us dun sa ating session. What will be the next goals for Bianca in motorsports career?
The next goal would be, the ultimate goal would be to reach Formula One. That will forever be the goal for me. And of course, W Series is a great, it's a great step moving forwards. But as I go up, I would want to be in Formula 3 or in Formula 2, where I can compete with the boys and really dominate there as well, hopefully. And if only, but for now, of course, we have to focus on dominating in the series first, in the W Series, and then from then on, we hope to move up the ladder.
Alay, clarification lang meron kang naghahanap ka rin ng sponsors for the track test could you clarify for this?
Sorry?
Meron kayong paghahanap ng mga sponsors para dun sa track test na gagawin nyo before?
Yes, yeah. You know, like I've always said, funding is a very much of an issue for us, purely because of how expensive it can get. And you know, the more testing means the more practice I can get. More practice means the better I perform. You know, unfortunately, it's not an easy sport to practice. For other sports, you can just get a basketball or you just get a gloves and then that's it. But for racing, you need a car, you need the track, you need the crew, you need this and that. And there's just so many things that we have to, you know, spend money on. And of course, getting sponsors and support from everyone or from the Philippines or someone would be amazing. You know, amazing getting that support financially.
All right, thank you, Bianca. It's a pleasure
Thank you so much.
And sana sa susunod, marami kang mapalaro na ng mga achievements.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
All right, thank you so much, Ernest.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Gab. Our last set of questions will be coming from Ivan Santeheno from Dugout, Philippines. Ivan, a few questions?
Yes, thank you very much, Ernest. So, good morning, Bianca. So, I have a couple of questions in mind. First and foremost, you said that you've been into karting, you've been into your formula racing, but have you tried any other sport other than motorsports?
I used to play volleyball in my school, and I was a libero. But aside from that, nothing really. I mean, I am very athletic. I can do lots of sports. You know, I do cycling. I work out, and I do basketball. But aside from that, I don't really, you know, professionally compete in it.
Wait, so you played libero? Is that competitive volleyball or just like for fun or hobby?
Sorry. Just as a hobby, and then I played it for my school.
Where? Where?
Here in the Philippines. I was studying at Alak, and now that I'm studying for USC, I might want to try and try to get in and just play it once again. You know, volleyball just here and then.
So you mentioned that you're in UST and you want to play volleyball again. So any chance, because right now UST's volleyball star is Aya Lau, so any chance you want to meet her and probably play with her for fun?
Yeah, of course. You know, I'd love to play again for fun and you know, like it's nice to have like a sport that you can do when you're not racing. You know, just keep the fitness up and just do it. You know, just enjoy it without having to feel the pressure of competition. So yeah, I'd love to play again actually.
All right, so one more side on my end, because you meant in the men's league is F1. I don't know the highest level of formula racing in the women. So can you divulge that league or what that level?
W Series is the highest league of all female racing, but I compete in a both. You know, I also compete against men. You know, this series. But in this series, it's an all women racing sport, but aside from that, I also do USF Juniors where it's both men and women. So like for me, I've always loved competing against boys, against men, just because the competition is just so different. And yeah.
Right, but when do you plan to probably move up, hopefully, to the highest level, to the top tier?
Well, you know, it's my first year in Formula Cars. I'm only 17, so I can't. This is like I've already made like such a big jump actually coming from karting to F3. You know, I didn't do touring car, I didn't do F4. I went straight to F3, and that's one of the biggest jump there is, and it's actually insane. But I do hope that I get to move up in a few years' time. And you know, I am secured another year next year in W Series. So hopefully after that, I get to, you know, maybe do Formula 3 or Formula Regional.
All right, thank you very much, Bianca. So, Ernest, you up? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bianca. And again, thank you for your time. I mean, you're a very busy person, and I'm sure you're a highly competitive athlete as well. And again, we would like to request our reporters, Dave Apolinario, our new champion, boxing champion.
The champ is here.
So we can have a
Dito
picture.
na, dito na, dito na.
Yeah, there you go, Bianca. Would you like to have a belt like that? So anyway,
The world title.
anyway, okay, and again, and 1, 2, 3, smile.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up po tayo. Yeah. All right. There you go. Genesee, nakuha mo? Okay na? Yeah. Okay, one more time. And 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you very much. And again, Bianca, may we have your final remarks before we let you go?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys. I want to take Sports Corner and Sports on Air for this amazing interview. It's always a joy talking about my experiences and talking about my sport. Yeah, I do hope that you guys continue supporting and following along on my journey. It's only the beginning, really, actually is. I've still got years ahead of me, and I hope that we get to reach that Everest together. So yeah, thank you guys so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Bianca. And again, we wish you well on your next race, and hoping that you bring home the bacon to Manila. Okay, and anyway, we move on to the second half of our Sports on Air Weekly. Ito na, Sir Ed, introduce natin ang ating panauhin. Isang world champion.
Okay, again, thank you kay Bianca for joining us kanina. And now, kakasama naman natin ngayon ang ating boxing champion, si Dave Apolinario. Dave, again, thank you for joining us dito sa aming programa sa Sports on Air Weekly. Dave, bago tayo magsimula ng mga questions natin, maybe we can request you to say a few remarks sa mga taga-subaybay mo sa exciting world of boxing.
Oh, sir, ano talaga sir, sobrang saya. Una sa lahat sir, magandang umaga po sa inyo, Sir Ed, at saka sa inyong lahat, ma'am. So ano sir, sobrang saya talaga sir, kasi ang daming mga Pilipino na humahanga sa atin, lalo na po bumalik agad yung world champion at sa Pilipinas. Sobrang saya sir, lalo na po pagdating po natin sa Pilipinas, sinalubong po tayo ni Mr. President BBM.
Yes, Dave, alam natin nga na isa ka sa mga unang Filipino boxing champions na nag-courtesy call kay President Marcos sa Malacanang, no? Well, of course, nauna yung Philippine Women's Football Team and now boxing, and nakatutuwa na malaman na ang mga sports heroes natin talagang nire-recognize ng ating pamahalaan, no? So, Dave, tell us yung experience mo sa courtesy call sa Malacanang. Kumusta ba? Kasama natin, of course, yung mga coaching staff mo at yung sa Sunman Promotions, no, ni Mr. Manangkil, JC Manangkil. Kumusta yung courtesy call nyo sa Malacanang? Ano ba ang ipinangako ng ating pamahalaan sa iyo at sa mga Filipino boxers in general?
Yung una-una po, sabi po ni Mr. President, ang una ko pong narinig sa kanya na sobrang saya ko ay yung narinig yung Dave, binuhay mo uli ang Pilipinas. Sobrang saya ko kasi kakaupo ko lang po dito sa ating bansa ay may narinig agad tayo na bagong world champion sa Pilipinas. So sa akin po talaga sobrang saya po makapagbigay tayo ng karangalan sa ating bansa, no, lalo na po sa ating lahat na Pilipino. Doon po talaga sobrang saya kasi nakapasok po tayo sa Malacanang, no. Sobrang saya po ng mga manager ko, lahat ng mga manager ko, promoter, kasi sabi nila first time po daw nilang nakapasok doon sa Malacanang. Sobrang saya po talaga sa na pag-uwi ko galing South
Dave, alam natin na bukod kay President Marcos, meron na rin sa Senado na binati ka rin ni Senator Bongo, and in fact may Senate resolution na kumikilala sa pagkakapanalo mo rito sa IBO Flyweight Championship. Right now, Dave, ang unang mga katanungan na tinatanong naman sa atin ng mga boxing fans mo, no? So after itong pagkakapanalo mo dito sa iyong kalaban, no, sa South Africa, ano ba ang mga susunod na plano mo? Meron bang mga unification bouts na nakada sa iyo para pati sa mga ibang boxing promotions makalaban ka?
Sir, excuse po sir, nawala yung signal. Can I repeat the question, sir?
Okay, Dave. So, isa sa mga itinatanong right now ng mga supporters mo sa boxing, ano ba ang next plan ng inyong Sunman Promotions para sa iyo? May mga nakatakda ka na bang lalabanan na mga ibang mga boxing champions sa ibang recognized sanctioning bodies like yung sa WBEC, WBA at iba pang mga competitions?
Actually po, sa ngayon po, galing laban po tayo. Actually, naghihintay po tayo sa mga next option natin na paparating na laban. Lalo na po yung mga South Japan boxers, sa Mexico. So, kasi po lahat sila po ay rinig ko po ay may mga schedule na po sila. So tayo po ay maghihintay lang po tayo sa mga offer na ibigay nila agad sa atin. So ang kailangan lang po talaga natin sir is born ready po tayo. Lagi po tayong handa sa laban kasi ang dami kasi namin sa timbang namin na flyweight sir eh. So bunutan na po yan sir kung sino po yung willing po lumaban agad sa akin. Yun po ang hinihintay po natin sir, lalo na po sir naghihintay po tayo sa mga sabi ng mga boss ko nga ito na ang laban mo ulit, ito na schedule mo. So tayo po bilang boxer po sir, ang po natin talaga na always po tayo mag-training malaga sir. Sir, hello?
Okay, thank you Dave. So bago ko ipasa yung mikropono sa mga kasama ko, sa mga katanungan nila. So again, on behalf ng Sports on Air, gusto namin ang magpasalamat din sa Sunman Boxing Promotions, no, kay JC Manangkil sa pagpapaunlak sa pagkakataon ito na makapanayam ka, no?
Yes po.
Okay, Ernest, may mga additional questions pa tayo?
Yes, ako naman no, magtatanong. Dave, unang tanong ko, kasabay mo ba matulog yung belt na yan nung una mo nakuha?
Sobrang saya sir. First, natulog pa kasi kami doon sa South Africa. Parang hindi ako makatulog sir. Gusto kong hawakan palagi, lalo na yung promoter ko, yung Boss JC, Boss Mike Pilayo. Gusto na nila talaga hawakan. So sobrang saya talaga sir no. Yung nakuha po natin yung belt, sobrang layo pa, South Africa. No, lalo na po yung pumutok agad yung pagkapanalo natin, marinig natin yung mga Pilipino nagsasabi na congratulations, binuhay mo ulit yung ating bansa. Sobrang saya talaga sir, hindi ko ma-expect talaga yun nangyari na ganito.
Ilang beses mo na nilinis yan? Simula mo nung nakuha mo? Hello? Dave, nawala ka?
Ano po sir, bawat may makita kang hello sir.
Yeah, sige. Go ahead.
Ano sir, bawat may makita kang marumi sa belt mo, pupunasan mo agad kasi kailangan sobrang layo yung kinuha mo, kaya alagaan mo talaga. At saka number 1, huwag mo na tong bitawan.
Okay, ito naman Dave, no? Ito, undefeated tayo ngayon, no? Ito ba ang pinakamahirap laban na nakuha? yung etong huling-huli? O may iba pa bang laban ka na tingin mo na mas na-challenge ka? Medyo nagiging choppy lang si Dave.
Actually po talaga sir, may mga marami ding Pilipino talagang hello? Okay na sir? Hello sir?
Medyo kakayanin.
Na rito?
Sige, kakayanin.
Hello sir? Okay na sir?
Kayang-kaya. Sige. Banat lang, Dave.
Ano po ulit yung sir? Tanong mo sir, nakalimutan.
Kumbaga, ito bang isa sa mga pinakamahirap kalaban o mas
okay.
mas marami?
Sir, marami din talagang mga Pilipino na challenge talaga ako. Lalo na po yung boxer na si Adrian Lirastan, yung lumaban po kami ng 10 rounds. Sa ngayon po, sobrang galing ang boxer yun. Sa Thailand, naka-4 na panalo po siya. Nakakuha po siya ng belt talaga, 2 ngayon. Pagkatapos namin na laban. Sobrang galing talaga yun. At saka yung ngayon talaga, sir. Magaling din siya.
Okay. Bilang champion, ikaw na ang tatargetin ng marami. No? Maraming may gusto iuwi yan. No? Kung ikaw nga, palagi mong tinitignan, palagi mong linilinis, merong ibang gustong makakuha niyan, iuwi sa kanilang mga bahay. Ngayon, ngayong champion ka na, no? What is next for you? Meron ka bang nakikitang kalaban na gustong gustong kumuha ng belt mo? Sino yung gusto challenger sa iyo?
Sa akin po sir, wala naman nagsabi na gusto agad na lumaban sa akin. Sa akin po, ako po ang may gusto talaga lumaban. Kung po pwede. Gusto ko pong labanan si Edwards at saka si Martinez. Yan po yan talaga yung pangarap ko na makalaban talaga. Pero kung kahit sino po yung mga katimbang ko nga flyweight, willing lang po tayo lumaban palagi. Basta nasa preparation po tayo palagi. Wala naman pong problema.
Okay, ito na lang ang tanong ko diyan, no. Kung yung susunod mong laban, gaano ka kahanda na sa susunod mong laban? Mga ilang buwan o baka bukas pwede ka na lumaban ulit? Ano bang kondisyon ng katawan mo ngayon?
Sa akin po ngayon sir, non-stop training na po ako sir kasi hindi mo alam yung paparating talaga na laban eh. Minsan may mabiglaan na laban. Katulad ngayon sir, biglaan to na laban eh. Mambuti na lang po po tayo, may pundo po tayong training. Kaya hindi na po tayo takot na lumaban kasi may training na po tayo. Lalo na po ngayon na panahon sir kasi biglaan yung ibang tumawag sir eh. Kailangan talaga kahit walang schedule, training ka na talaga para prepare ka always eh.
Okay, Dave, etong tanong ko lagi sa mga boxer, no, kapag may kasunod ng laban. Kapag tinawagan ka ngayon tapos sinabi ito ang magiging kalaban mo, sinong pangalan ang kikiligin ka? Yung parang pag narinig mo yung pangalan na ito kalaban mo, kikiligin ka, nakaupo ka ngayon, mapapa-shadow boxing ka na. Sinong pangalan yon?
Ang gusto ko pong marinig talaga na makalaban sir, lalo na po marinig ko po si Julio Cesar Martinez ng Mexico. Sobrang excited ako sir na marinig ko yan, lalo na po si Edwards. Yun po sir, yung po talaga yung favorite ko talagang gusto makalaban sir, yung pangarap ko sir, BF.
So kung marinig mo yung dalawang yan, medyo bibitaw mo muna yung belt, talagang tutok ka na sa training agad.
Next option na kasi sir eh. So ang focus mo naman sir, yung yung para palapit na laban na naman sir kasi yung mga boxer na yan sir eh, sobrang sikat na kasi yan sir eh. Sobrang sikat. Siyempre ikaw sir bilang kaumpisa pa po lang sa pangalan, ikaw po sir ay excited po rin sa makalaban mo rin yung mga superstar na boxer.
Okay, sige. May mga katanungan pa mga kasama ko. Siguro i-next natin naman si Ivan. Ivan, pwedeng ikaw naman ang sumunod.
Pero
Ivan?
andito na si JC Manangkil.
Ayan, may isa pa tayong atleta dito, JC. No? Sasabay-sabay natin, no? Magja-juggle tayo kay JC at saka kay Dave. JC, baka pwedeng a few words muna, no? At saka ito, meron tayong isa pang champion dito na kasama.
Yes,
no?
si JC is the manager ni Dave at saka ni Mike Plania, no, sa Sunman Promotions.
Yes.
So JC, welcome to Sports on Air.
Medyo nagano pa.
Sige.
Okay na, sir.
Yan. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Anyway, Ivan, ikaw na. Magtatanong. Nakamute ka. Wala kang audio, Ivan. I-ano mo. Ayusin mo yung audio mo. Yung sige, habang nag-ayos si Ivan ng audio niya, no, Gab Ferreras, ikaw tanong.
Test. Okay ba?
Go. Ivan, go. Okay. Go.
Earphones ko. So anyway, yun nga. Si Sir GC muna kasi nga I already talked to Dave last week. Ngayon naman, parang on the manager side of things, how's it like that after 2 or 3 weeks na walang Filipino champion? Here we are, Dave Apolinario, right now the only active world champion for GC.
Yeah. We were yun nga yung you said na it's very rare na walang reigning champion, and I spoke with Dave and all the team na sabi mo galingan mo, and it will be very big for Philippine boxing. So we were very, very happy on what Dave did in South Africa.
So was there somehow a pressure on you because Donnie Nietes has lost his title, Mark Magsaysay lost his title, even Nonito Donaire lost his title, and then here you are with your prize award, Dave Apolinario, daw trying to world title, pang stir pressure na baka madisgrasya dito, di wala pa tayong world champion for next few months, few weeks.
Not really a pressure. I didn't really saw any pressure with Dave because nakita ko naman for the training camp na he really worked hard. So syempre he wants to be the champ, bring back the glory. But for the pressure, I saw him in his eyes na during the fight, during the weigh-in, during papunta kami and all that he's very focused, and he was really confident.
Very good. So now that the fight's over, what was it like when he silenced the entire South African crowd? Was a home court disadvantage, home wing disadvantage, because his opponent is a hometown favorite, Gideon Buthelezi, and all of a sudden after just one round, right, just before the end of round 1, he got knocked out. What was it like that? You silenced the entire crowd there.
It feels really good. Yun yung the best feeling on in anything, or especially in sports na you go to an enemy territory, apat lang kayo, 5, when it's maybe 4 or 5 Filipino people who from East London, South Africa na who supported us, and kami lang against all the crowds na in attendance and maybe watching in South Africa. Na kami lang yung nanalo, and 5 lang yung kami lang yung celebrate. That was one of the best feelings in boxing, na yung enemy territory and kayo mananalo, and all the circumstances that we have na ginawa namin, like the flights, the jet lags and all that, yun yung lalong pinasarap pa yung panalo.
Okay, so now that he's in prime with possibly facing Artem Dalakia, the reigning WBA champ, is now no doubt is number 3 in the world rankings. Then of course he also said he wants Sonny Edwards. He also wants the WBC champion Luis Cesar Martinez. Do you plan to bring him to the US up immediately, or what's gonna be the plan?
Actually, even before the fight, me and my partner with Dave is Mike Pelayo, we already started his P1 visa, and even without the fight with P1 US visa, even without the fight with Buthelezi. We were already planning him to bring him to the United States. So we already started it 2 months ago. So anytime from now, his visa will come out, and probably we start campaigning in the United States. So the plan is, he'll be up. He said na number 3 siya sa WBA, and yung WBA kasi yung nag-update ng monthly ratings eh. But 100% sure with the next monthly of all other organization, he'll be top 10 at least, top 5, top 10 at least. So we'll be pushing to all the champions. He said he wants to avenge his teammates' loss, Jason Mama against Sonny Edwards. So that's what he wants, and we'll try to make that fight happen, or Martinez or whatever.
All right, thank you, Sir G. So I'll go back to Dave. I'm gonna go back to a previous question for JC. Nga, parang nga, home ring disadvantage. You're playing against the hometown favorite, si Buthelezi. Then, in just 3 minutes, right before the bell, round 1, natulog mo knockout si Buthelezi, napatahimik mo ang South African crowd. So talk about nga silencing them in just one knockout. Dave, you're up.
Ano sir, kasi sir sa laban hindi talaga may sir ma-spec yung sir eh. So sa pagpunta kasi namin diyan sir, napakaliit na po ng oras namin sir bago yung laban. So pagdating kasi namin ng East London sir, bukas na din sir ay weigh-in na, then laban na after next day. So napaka sir eh, talaga sir, napaka jet lag pa namin sir noon. Hilong-hilo ka pa sa namin sa long ride. So ang ginawa po namin sir, kasi nawala po, naiwan kasi din yung gamit namin sa Ethiopia. Ang nangyari po sir, wala kaming gamit na dumating sa East London talaga. Ang sabi ko boss, may pag-asa pa bang darating yung natin sir, baggage? Oo, may pag-asa pa. So ang nangyari po doon, ang dumating 4 na baggage lang. Yung sa akin pa ang naiwan talaga. Grabe. Ang nangyari po sir, boss, pagtingin ko sa sa backpack ko, sa bag ko, buti na lang may isang extra short na panglaban talaga. So ang problema na lang namin yung fighting shoes at saka yung foul protector. So ang ginawa namin na silang boss po ay mabuti na lang po may mga Pilipino po yung tumulong doon, naghahanap ng mga saan po yung may boxing boxing na gamit na pwedeng pagbilhan. So silang boss po nakapaghanap ng paraan na bumili ng fighting shoes, kahit Adidas lang, hindi Adidas. Kasi mura lang kasi. Adidas lang, hindi Adidas. Sobrang Pero ang problema naman namin sir, paglaban namin sir. Paglaban namin, ang problema na naman yung foul protector. So ang ginawa namin sir, ang foul protector, nanghiram kami. Yung unang hiniram namin sa first fight, lang po, yung maliit na foul protector, garter lang, kundi pwede yan boss. Masakit yan pag matamaan tayo. So ang nangyari po, kasi pinapadali na po kaming umakyat ng ring kahit wala pang foul protector, sobrang depressed na yung laban talaga namin. Biglaan na, tinatawag na kami. Sabi ko, boss, wala namang problema, maghintay sila. Tayo at ako man ang lumaban, di sila. So ang ginawa namin talaga sir, no choice talaga. Yun na lang po ginamit namin foul protector, yung maliit lang talaga, parang. So sige boss, laban na to boss, walang problema boss. 1 oras lang yan sa taas ng ring. So laban na lang po kami, walang problema. Importante tapos na to eh. 1 oras lang to eh. So sa laban po sir, hindi ko po in-expect talaga na ganun lang ang mangyari sa laban. First round lang po. So biglaan eh. So pagbagsak, na-shock ako, solid pala yun, akala ko hindi. So akala ko din sir, tatayo pa yung si Gideon Butalese sa first round. Pagtingin ko, naka 9 counts. So pag tayo niya, medyo hilo pa, inayaw na po. Sobrang saya po talaga. Kasi yung spec namin po nasa mga 7-8 rounds. Kala namin doon pa namin ma-knockout.
Wala. Ano?
Loud and clear.
Okay, ako yung nawala. Nawala na si...
Yes,
Wala
sir.
yata si... Yun. Okay, tuloy lang. I think you're good that. So yun. So ito. Okay, but a quick follow-up lang before I move to my next question. Parang you-mention nga, pagdating nyo lang doon sa South Africa, sa East London, 1 day before the weigh-in. So usually,
Yes po.
pag ganun, for example, quote and quote kami, like even like sa Pacquiao, siguro pag yung pag-acclimatize sa weather sa climate ng lugar nila, usually, ang kami na siguro na Pacquiao, siguro 3 days or maybe at most 1 week. So, paano yung acclimatization nyo? Kasi nga, isang araw na, basically 2 days lang 2 days lang ang differential before your fight. Paano yung acclimatization?
Grabe, sir. Sir, sobrang talaga yun na pangyari, sir. Kasi yun, sir, hindi talaga yun namin, sir, flight, sir. Mas maaga-aga pa sana kami dumating. So importante na yun, sir, na po ang flight namin, parang na-cancel. Na naman. So sobrang lapit na talaga, sir. Boss, paano tayo makarecover niyan? Sabi ko. So, okay lang, boss, basta dumating tayo dito, makaapas pa tayo ng laban, boss, wala problema. Kasi pagdating namin pagka-umagahan, way na. Grabe. Pero okay lang. So isa sa laban ko talaga, sir, hindi ako naka-recover kasi hindi ako nakaano sa mga pagkain nila doon. Hindi ako naka-recover sa sa pagkain. Wala kasing mga mga pagkain doon, sir, na nanibago kasi, sir. Pero ang iniisip ko na talaga, sir, laban na lang talaga, laban. Bahala na.
So ayun, yung bahala na yun, yun nga, blessing in this case pa nga. So yun. So may lang ng konti nga. Kasi when we talked last week when you arrived from the IAWAN, parang you discussed to us with Marty yung story ng nanay mo. Obviously, you're dedicating the win to your mom.
Yes, po,
Ano bang
yes,
story? Ano bang story niyan? Last week kasi hindi ko natanong yan last week. Okay. Ano bang...
Sir, yung bago pa po ako, sir, nangyari, tuloy-tuloy na po yung training ko. So, nangyari po sa nanay ko, sir, ay biglang tumawag yung mga kapatid ko. May nangyari daw yung nanay ko, may sakit daw. So, umuwi ako, sir, hinto muna yung training ko. Iniasikaso ko, sir, muna. Sir, pagkatapos, sir, ay lalong lumala yung sakit niya, sir. Na-shock na po kami kung anong nangyari kasi sabi nila UTI lang po. UTI lang po daw. So pina-check up namin, dinala po namin sa center muna, sa ospital. Sabi po nila, kasi yung nanay ko, sir, hindi na makalunok ng tubig, takot na sa tubig. So nangyari kasi yun, sir, dati pa nakagat daw siya ng aso, sabi niya. Pero hindi namin alam, sir, na sa rabies pala yun. Akala namin sa UTI lang, yung tiyan niya masakit daw. So mga ilang araw, sir, sumakit na po yung paa niya, yung niya, tiil niya, yung paa niya, sumakit na po daw. Pagdala po namin sa ospital, sir, sabi ng doktor, nakagat po ba to ng aso? Kasi takot siya sa tubig eh. Oo po, sir, nakagat. Na-shock sila. Ha? Baka rabies yan, mahirap yan gamutin. Observe muna sila, sir, ng 1 day, may pinaresita po silang mga gamot. So, hindi po talaga, sir, lalong lumala. So, transfer namin sa Jinsan, dinala po namin siya na doktor hospital. Inobserbaran po siya ng doktor. Yun talaga, sir, yung nakita nila, sir. Yung rabies po, umakyat na po ng sa ulo. Kasi po daw, yung rabies, sir, wala daw po yung doktor na makakagaling. Bihira lang po daw makagaling yan, sir, lalo na po sa mga Bisaya. Yun lang po daw makagaling ng rabies, sir. So po, ang nangyari po, sir, nahinto yung training ko. Sabi ng boss ko, Dave, balik ka na sa gym. Baka may offer tayo. Kahit baon ko pa po yung sakit na nararamdaman, sir, baon ko pa po yun. Tinitiis ko lang. So, umpisa ako ng training, sir. Pagdating ng schedule ko, sir, na papalapit na laban ko, Dave, ito yung mga kalaban mo. So nag-focus na po ako sir, hindi ko po yun binaon. Ginawa ko lang po ng inspirasyon yung mama ko. Yung mama ko kasi sir, napakahilig ng boxing talaga. Suportado po kasi siya sir. So ang ginawa ko po sir, naging inspirasyon ko lang po siya sir para matulungan ko yung mga kapatid ko sir, yung pamilya ko. Baka may awa ang Panginoon sir, marating natin yung pangarap natin.
Ayun, so but to be honest, parang is there a time na parang naging distraction pa on you that you're thinking about your mom, like nga. Kasi nga, especially although it's kind of rough to ask this in this midweek na nga, may namatay na yung dalawang sports legends, Lydia to Dong Politico. Parang medyo nga, parang medyo nagkaroon ba ng time na parang na-distract ka pa dahil sa nga, you're thinking about your mom na while you're fighting, during the fight, or during the build up to the fight.
Yung ano po sir, sa ano sir, hindi ko naman po yung binaon yung ano sir, hindi ko po binaon yung kahit may problema. So sa importante kasi sir sa laban sir, pagdating mo sa laban, kailangan wala kang yung iniisip mo talaga, ano lang talaga, yung laban mo talaga, yun lang kasi yung importante sir eh. Kasi sir sa laban sir, pag binaon mo yun sir, baka mawalan ka ng gana, baka mawala ka sa sarili mo, sa taas ng ring, baka magka-problema ka pa, batalo ka. 'Di ba? Yung dapat ano sir importante sir. Yung ano sir, buuin mo yung ano mo talaga sir, yung isipan mo at yung dibdib mo. So ang ginawa ko sir pagkatapos ng laban sir, ano na lang sir, nakasabi ko sa sarili ko, sobrang saya ko. Alam ko naman sir na sobrang saya po yung ano ko sir, nanay, saka yung lahat po ng Pilipino. Kasi makarinig ka ng salitang congratulations na binuhay mo ulit yung Pilipinas. Sa ano sir, sa salitang yun sir, kahit sino naman boxer makarinig yun sir, lalo na ikaw pong boxer mismo na nakakarinig, sobrang saya sir, na pinupuri ka po ng lahat na Pilipino.
One last question na may nga. Sige, lazy player, natalo mo si Gideon Butilezi, pero your mom is still alive. What would you tell your mom na nanalo ka ng title? Paano sasabihin sa nanay mo na nanalo ka ng world title?
Can I repeat the question, sir?
Yan. Paano mo sasabihin sa nanay mo, example na boy mommy mo, then na lazy player, ano sasabihin mo dapat sa kanya na after winning the title?
Ano sir, sabihin ko sir na ako, nay, sa laban to, sobrang hirap talaga to. Laban talaga to. Para po sa iyo po to na pagkapanalo, parang ganoon. Kasi ikaw po yung nag-inganyo na ano sir, ikaw po yung nag-inganyo na magboxing ako eh. Siya po yung nagsuporta talaga sir, na kasi ibang nanay sir, takot sa boxing eh. Ibang nanay, di ba? Wag kang magboxing, baka mabugbog ka lang diyan. Baka mapatay ka sa boxing. So di naman sir, yung boxing talaga sir, isang sports lang yan sir, di ba? Hindi naman yan, may gloves naman yan, saka may medical naman yan. Hindi ka papalabanin pag may diferensya ka sa sa katawan mo, sa kamay, sa utak, di ba? Pero sir, proud talaga sir, sobra. Proud talaga.
Okay, so yeah, before I end one more question pa. Kasi nga, sabi nga ni Sir JC, parang inready na yung visa mo to possibly fight in the US. Parang, if in case, Martinez, Edwards, Dalakian, ang makalaban mo, parang sa Amerika, how prepared are you na fighting in America against either of those big three world title holders? Martinez, Edwards, Dalakian.
So, mga boxer talaga niyan sir, hindi talaga yan basta-basta. So, ang mangyari po yan sir, kahit wala pa pong schedule, kailangan talaga kahit wala pang schedule, alam mo namang kategory mo sila, katimbang mo sila, kailangan mo talaga mag-training sir kahit wala pang schedule para may parating na laban sir. Kaya ka na sir, born ready ka na talaga, hindi ka na matakot. Walang problema sir, naman ako nag-training naman tayo palagi. So, kasi sir, minsan kasi sir, yung laban ngayon sir, talagang biglaan minsan sir, hindi mo mahirap kasi sir pag inoferan ka ng laban, then ngayon ka pa mag-training, wala. Ano yan sir, kulang yung ano mo sir, preparation talaga. So ang dapat talaga sir, kahit wala pang schedule, wala pang laban, mag-training ka na. Kasi yung mga boxer na yan sir, lalo na si Sunny Edwards, si Martinez, napakagaling na boxer yan sir. Sikat yan sa kanila, superstar yan sa kanila. So tayo sir, kasi tayo sir, nagsisimula pa lang tayo ng ano sir, talaga yung kasikatan na nagsisimula pa tayong narinig na pangalan talaga sir, narinig yung pangalan mo. Kaya ang gawin mo talaga sir, todo training talaga, saka build mo talaga yung mga improvement mo, kung ano pang dapat ma-improve, yung suntok mo, galaw, yan po talaga yung importante talaga sir.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned improvement. Based on how you perform, at least in a 3-minute plan against Intelesi, ano yung kulang sa larong yun na gusto mong improve? Assuming na, susunod na, ikaw, mga lalaki yan, Martinez, Edwards, ano yung kulang pa?
Ano talaga sir, yung ang next mo talaga ang i-improve, importante yun sir, yung stamina mo, yung hangin mo talaga, yung stamina mo nga, suntukan talaga, aabot ng 12 rounds kasi mahirap talaga yung makalaban yung mga Meksikano, lalo na yung boxer na tumatakbo, kailangan mo talaga yung paa mo, hindi talaga yan ma-weak. Kasi pag ma-weak yung mga paa mo, yung kamay mo, wala, bihira na tayong manalo kasi lalo na po dayo tayo palagi. Kaya ang una sa talaga sir, yung power punch at saka yung stamina mo sa dibdib, kailangan yung hangin mo talaga todo. Tsaka yung mga paa mo hindi tuloy-tuloy yung galawan talaga para kaya mong makiksabayan talaga sir, yung number 1 talaga.
Okay, thank you very much Sir Dave. Congratulations, mabuhay ka. Sir Ernest, you're up.
Maraming salamat po sir.
Ako na muna. Magtanong para kay Dave, tuloy-tuloy na to. Dave, good morning. Actually, good afternoon na po.
Opo.
May tuturing nga na biggest blessing ba itong world title na awak mo na yon? Kasi ako you imagine, 3 linggo tayong walang world title belt holders nagaling sa mga Pinoy. At ikaw nag-fill in dun sa mga boxers na nauna nag-champion pero natalo sa title defense like si Angkaas.
Yes po.
May tuturing ba itong biggest blessing, itong world title ba yun?
Sobra sir kasi sir una-una sa lahat sir, naubusan na po tayo ng world champion. So malaking bagay po sir na meron agad na boxer na nabigyan ng schedule na lumaban ulit ng world title. So itong belt na to sir, kahit IBO sir, sobrang naman po to sir, malaking karangalan na rin to sir kasi malaking nakatatak dito, world champion, international po talaga sir. So po sir, sa pagkapanalong ito sir, talaga sir, para sa akin talaga sir, napaka-blessing po talaga sir kasi kahit sir, yung IBO sir, sobrang saya po ng mga tao sir na may world champion ulit ang Pilipinas sir. Kasi ito yung belt dati ni Manny Pacquiao talaga sir, yung lumaban siya kay Hatton. Alala mo pa ba yun sir, yung laban niya kay Hatton sir?
Of course, dito sa laban mo, pinatikim mo yung left straight punch na napatumba yung kalaban nyo na taga South Africa despite without having a groin guard na awak nyo. Could you tell us more, ano yung backstory itong dun sa laban na wala kang groin guard, yung mga protective equipment na ginagamit sa boxing?
Po sir, kung may magawa naman po talaga ng paraan, wag mo isipin nyo na halimbawa pag matalo ka, yung rason mo, kasi wala akong fighting fans, wala akong fighting shoes, nakawala ng gana. Hindi po yun sir, hindi tama yun. Kung magawan po natin ng paraan talaga sir na lumaban at saka nakaakyat ka ng ring, ibig sabihin makalaban ka, opportunity na rin yun sir, kasi tinuloy yung laban na kaysa hindi matuloy yung laban sir, sayang lang yung sayang lang yung punta nyo sa South Africa kasi world title to So iniisip po namin ng manager ko, sir, ko boss, kung magawan talaga ng paraan yan, makalaban tayo, walang problema, boss. Laban talaga tayo, boss. Hindi pwedeng pumunta lang tayo dito na dahil lang sa mga premyo. Hindi po kami naghahanga talaga sa premyo, sir. Yung iniisip namin, sir, yung naubusan po talaga ng world champion sa Pilipinas. Pero alam ko naman, sir, na mahalaga din yung prize, sir, kasi boxer yun talagang kinikita sa mga boxer eh. Pero yung ko talaga, sir, mindset ko talaga, sir, na sana po manalo tayo sa laban na to kasi alam ko naman po pag manalo tayo, sobrang saya ng lahat na Pilipino na marinig nila na may world champion ulit ang Pilipinas.
And of course, nakakatuwa na pagbalik sa Pilipinas, nakipag-physical ka kay President Bongbong Marcos, then dumiretso ka sa Senado. And of course, pagbalik sa bansa, meron kayo, pagbalik sa bayan, sa Jensen, saka sa Maasim Sarangani, nagkaroon kayo ng Heroes Welcome at parang courtesy call na rin with the local officials. Pakikwento niyo sa amin yung mga nangyari doon sa inyong muling pagbabalik.
So yung pagdating pa lang namin, sir, sa airport sa Manila, ramdam ko na po yung saya ng mga Pilipino, lalo na po yung lumapit yung mga natin, yung mga kababayan natin na interview sa atin, wala naman pong problema, sobrang saya nila. Marami silang tanong sa akin kung anong feelings na naiuwi mo yung belt. Siyempre, sobrang saya talaga para po to sa inyong lahat, ganun. At saka yung pagpunta namin, sir, sabi ng boss ko, Dave, kailangan mo magbihis agad ngayon pagkatapos nito kasi punta tayo sa Malacanang. So pagdating na po namin doon, sir, sobrang saya, sir, kasi papunta pa lang kami ng Malacanang, iniisip ko na agad na uy, totoo ba to, makikita ko na si President first 2022 na natin, presidente. Sobrang saya, sir. Pagpasok namin ng Malacanang talaga, sir, nahawakan ko yung kamay ni Mr. President at saka nakausap niya ako. Yung hindi ko po nakakalimutan yung mga salita niya sa akin, yung sinabi niya sa akin na, Dave, binuhay mo ulit yung Pilipinas. Kakaupo pa lang daw niya, sobrang saya niya, na agad ng Pilipinas, may narinig agad siyang kasiyahan kasi may world champion ulit ang Pilipinas. Sobrang saya talaga, sir. In-invite ako ng mga pa yung mga recognition na sir, sobrang saya talaga, sir. Hindi ko ma-expect kung gaano saya, kung nararamdaman talaga.
Last question bago ko ipasa kay JC. Itong tagumpay na ito ay nagpamarka sa inyo bilang isa sa mga best and brightest stars ng boxing sa Pilipinas during the pandemic. So ano ba magiging goals nyo sa mga susunod na mga taon o mga buwan? Itutuloy mo ba yung pagdepensa mo ng IBO belt o kailangan niya harapin yung mga mas malakas na kalaban na mas may bigat din na timbang? I-adjust mo. Ano ba magiging expectations mo sa mga susunod na buwan o taon sa inyong boxing career, lalo na ang ini-aim nyo yung mga mabibigat na kalaban o di kaya i-adjust nyo yung mga timbang?
Hindi na po, sa ngayon po mananatili po tayo muna sa flyweight kasi ang dami pa po nating pwedeng harapin na kalaban eh. So may mga pangarap talaga tayo makalaban dito sa flyweight. So wala pa muna akong plano, sir, na umakyat kasi sabi ng promoter na labanan muna natin yung mabibigat na flyweight talaga para yun yung number 1 talaga na may bigyan tayo ng pagkakataon na lumaban para tuloy-tuloy po yung natin. Sana po manalo tayo next fight, sir.
Alright, thank you, Dave, and congratulations sa inyong inuwing world title belt sa IBO. Let's go to Sir JC. Sir JC, andito ka pa?
Yes, sir.
Itong pagkapanalo ni Dave ng IBO world title belt ay nagsilbing inspirasyon, motivation para sa inyo para maipagpatuloy nyo ang pag-produce ng mga top quality boxers lalo na sa Mindanao na inyong pinanggalingan.
Yes naman, sir. It's a boost for our team then. Lahat inspired to train harder. And yeah, it's a big win for the team and for the Philippines too.
May mga nakakanda ba ang plano para kay Dave or pinaplansya pa yung pinafinalize ba yung mga susunod para sa kanya after the fight?
Uh, we will start planning on what's next for Dave baka next week or two. So we keep you posted on what's the plan. But we're planning for a bigger fights ahead.
Pero abang kayo ay nag-aanda para dito, siguro si Dave balik na yun sa training kaagad. At alam ko is confident na sana may depensa niya yung kanyang titulo. Meron din tayong isa pang boxer na lalaban, si Magic Mike Plania sa US. I think this month ata. Could you share to us info dun sa makakalaban niya? Ano magiging expectations para doon? Sa Las Vegas.
Yeah, lalaban si Mike Plania ngayong September 4 in the Staples Center sa Los Angeles. So it will be in a really big undercard ni Andy Ruiz. So and he's fighting Rais Alim, unbeaten WBA interim world champion. So it will be very hard for Mike, but Mike is ready. He's been training really hard in Miami. And we expect a win for Mike kasi matagal na ito inaantay itong opportunity na ito. It's a very, very big opportunity. It's an eliminator for WBO. Whoever wins will fight Steph Fulton, yung unified champion ng 122. So he knows that kung mananalo siya dito it's a big break for him ahead. And this fight is also a big break for him. So hindi niya pwedeng palampasin. He's training hard. Kaya ngayon he was supposed to be here but mga 10 o'clock biglang nakaidlip siguro kasi he said nakatatlong workout na siya today. So kasi medyo midnight na sa Miami, so baka biglang nakatulog. So yeah, that's how serious he is for his with his training and for this fight.
Last question, kaya nga believe ako doon sa Sandman kasi nag-organize kayo ng yung mga fight cards na under the Bible set. Kasi andyan pa rin yung COVID-19 pandemic. Meron kayong upcoming event dyan sa Jensen which is the Sandman Bubble. Another installment ng bubble type na boxing event. Could you share to us kung kailan at paano na mapanood ng mga fights nito at sino mga nandun sa card?
This will be our 10th bubble edition card, and hopefully we get back to normal na din kasi it's really hard. But we have another show. It's the 10th bubble card of Sandman, and it's August 24. So maraming top fighters ay lalaban, sila Joey Canoy, sila KJ Cataraha, sila Melvin Jerusalem, which is the #1 contender too. He'll be fighting si Vince Paras, and and many more. I think it's 11 bout card. So you could also watch the fights live on our Facebook page, Sandman Boxing.
With that, Sir JC, maraming salamat and
you.
all the best sa inyong mga boxers at sa upcoming fight. Si Ivan, may follow-up question ka pa para sa inyo.
Yes, I can confirm that, Jogging. I think, so Sir JC, kasi you said that it's for the end. I think it's the fight between Plania and yung kalaban niya is for the NDBO championship, the North American Championship. So, pero you said it's the interim WBA champ. So why not the world title and just the regional title? But what happened there?
As you know, WBA has crossed out all the interim champions already. Kasi they were they had issues na they had too many belts and all the stuff. So I don't know if you're here, but I think almost a year now or less or some around that, the WBA has started cleaning the interim title. So yeah, it was better sana if with that title, but that's okay. And we focus on the bigger belts. So it will be an eliminator for the WBO as well.
Now I know. So now let's go now to the bubble event. Is it strictly a bubble or will there be live fans coming in since level 1 naman?
I think they're slowly past few months na nagiging mababa na yung nagiging yung mga restrictions. They started to put a little bit of fans, but that compared before na you had to do the long process, which is quarantine all the fighters and all the stuff, but we're still gonna do it in a bubble type in our Sandman gym.
They still closed door, just clarify.
Sir, excuse me. Sorry.
Still closed door event, no fans allowed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, Sir JC and Gab. You're up. Or sino ba who's gonna close this?
Ernest, nandito ka pa?
Ernest?
Nandito yung ako nagka-problema. Anyway,
Siguro photo op muna kasi andito
photo op muna ulit tayo kay Sir JC. Sir JC, baka we can have a photo op, no? Genesee, one more time, magpo-photo op tayo. And 1, 3, smile po tayo.
Ay.
Ayan. Okay na.
Thank you.
Iko na yung mikropono kay Sir Ed. Sir Ed, kayo na po ulit.
Okay, thank you, Ernest. So again, magpapasalamat tayo sa mga naging panauhin natin ngayong umaga, no? And tingnan muna naman natin ng closing remarks ang ating champion, si Dave. Dave, baby, marami kang gustong pasalamatan, and this is your chance para pasalamatan ng iyong mga taga-subaybay at ng iyong mga followers, at siguro imbitahan sila na patuloy na abangan ng mga coming fights mo.
Si Dave, problema sa connection.
Yes, nawala yata si Dave, si Sir JC, maybe Sir JC. Maybe this is also your chance, no, to invite yung mga boxing followers natin na patuloy na suportahan ng mga fighters natin, at itong darating na promotion nga ng Sandman Promotions, please invite them.
Yes, sa lahat din, maraming salamat sa pagsuporta sa mga Sandman boxer, but not only Sandman boxer but all the Filipino boxers. Thank you po sa lahat na nagsumusuporta sa Philippine boxing, and also support all our fighters and all our upcoming events. So yeah, thank you, and thank you din sa lahat sa inyo sa pag-imbita kay Dave and kay Mike and sa akin. Thank you po.
Sir Ed, yung mic niyo po naka-off. Naka-off po yung mic niyo. Sir Ed, yung mic niyo po naka-off.
Dave, ating champion, maybe may pasasalamatan ka, at siguro imbitahan mo na rin yung mga boxing fans mo na patuloy na suportahan yung mga darating mo laban.
Okay. Una-una po sa lahat, no, nagpapasalamat po ako sa aming team, lalo na po ka boss namin, manager namin si JC Manangkil. Maraming salamat po sa iyo, boss, lalo na po sa manager ko Mike Pilayo, at saka buong Sandman Promotion, Sandman team po, mga boxer, maraming salamat po. Sana po ay patuloy kayong nagsisikap na training para makamit nyo rin yung mga pangarap natin isa-isa, lalo na po magkaroon ng world champion ng Sandman. Maraming salamat po sa mga Pilipino lahat na patuloy na sumusuporta sa atin, at maraming salamat din po sa inyo, Sir Aid, sa lahat po.
Okay, thank you, Dave, and again, good luck sa mga darating mong laban, no? Kay Sir JC na rin, good luck sa Sandman Promotions.
Thank you everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Ernest, back to you.
Maraming salamat sa ating mga panauhin sa linggong ito. At ako po si Ernest Hernandez, host and moderator for Sports on Air Weekly. Kung nasa Facebook po kayo, ngayon lang po kayo naka-encounter ng aming Facebook page, please do click the like para malaman nyo kung sino yung susunod namin mga panauhin. And again, kung nasa YouTube naman kayo, doon, subscribe po kayo. At with that, iwan po namin kayo ulit ng simpleng mensahe para sa linggong ito, which is to stay safe. God bless.
Thank you po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.